enthusiastic, energetic Megha Israni from here, and her dream is to make to take Israni photography to every household. In 10 years of their experience, they've done over 600 weddings, including some celebrity weddings like Neeti Mohan, Himesh Reshamya, Harbhajan Singh, Ravi and Sargun, and Rahul Vaidya, which is next. So let's welcome them.
So, hi Megha. I was just telling everyone that Megha is an energetic, enthusiastic person who wants Israni photography in every household, and she leaves no stone unturned to make sure that every picture which is delivered to the bride and groom is stunning and up to their expectation. We have seen you. Uh, we have seen your team work so hard. Sometimes I know they've missed meals, they've done everything to make sure that they capture that moment which the bride absolutely wants. We've seen you work at Mayuresh Sonali. We're doing another project together, and you're doing this. You're doing Rahul Vaidya's wedding next week. I think you guys are on a roll, and we've been chatting. And Megha, it's a pleasure to know you as a person, being such a young girl, but you're so focused. You exactly know what you want, and you're going after your dreams. So kudos to you, and thank you for coming and joining us today.
It's a pleasure. I'm so excited for this. After very long, we're doing a live session, and I think I'm so excited to share the knowledge that I think I have gained over the experience of doing so many weddings across the globe. And I'm so excited to share it with your audience today. And yeah, can't wait for everybody to make some notes. And I think it's a great opportunity of knowing how to capture and how to choose the right photographer, because a lot of times people make that mistake. They kind of buy what they see, and they don't really get into the detailing. But like they say, the God is in the details. So here we are talking more on that.
So before that, I would love to know, how did you get into photography? How did you start Israni photography? And it would be really nice to know that.
So honestly, it wasn't my brainchild at all. My brother is a fashion photographer, and it was his idea. I think when you were a fashion photographer, 9, 10 years, like he started photography about 16 years back, and he realized that there was a huge gap in the markets where there was no candid photographer, or there was no modern company which was doing photography. There were candid individual photographers, but there was no team which could cater to a wedding. And he used to get a lot of emails from NRI clients saying, "Hey, you're a fashion photographer. Would you capture our wedding?" And he, as a fashion photographer, in those days, capturing wedding was always looked down upon. So he said, why don't I create a team? Why don't I get them that kind of respect, where even today photographers will get respected at weddings? Because there were times when photographers were called, "Arey bhaiya, yahan pe aao." The whole traditional way of capturing a wedding was really, really different. So it was his idea. He, along with a friend of his, wanted to get into it. And sooner did I realize I was into acting back then. I was at that point in my life where I wasn't very stable. So I just started to help him out. I said, okay, I'll try and market this, and I'll try and study what this is, and I'll help you in the business, because it was always a family business for us. So I didn't know that after doing the first wedding that I grabbed, which was of a very, very prominent Disha Doshi, I did that wedding. And sooner did I realize the appreciation that I got from that wedding gave me tears of joy, and I realized that maybe this is my true calling. Like, the father yet messages, we're yet in touch. A 10-year-old client is yet in touch with me today, and I think that's the biggest victory that I have, which gave me a better sleep. So I think I work for better sleep, and I think this industry really gives you good sleep.
Yes, I absolutely agree, Megha, and I think all of us are here for that. A lot of appreciation for good work, hard work, and I think when you hear the final thank you after the wedding,
Right.
all the tiredness and everything what has gone behind, it just melts away, and you have this big smile, and the team is so motivated, and I think we work so hard for that one thank you, and that's what matters.
Totally.
Great, amazing. So let's jump into what we are here for. And let me ask you that, we of course tell the client the checklist that, what kind of photography you want. You want candid, you want more for this. But I'm sure you have a better list or a better checklist that, you know, you kind of advise the clients on, you know, as you're the expert in this. So I want to hear that, you know, if the bride is looking for a photographer, what are the 5 points she should make sure that she ticks or checks, you know, before choosing the photographer?
So I think, Prerna, will keep this really crisp and very interesting. That I think first and foremost, what is very important is to identify the style of photography that one needs to identify in terms of what is it that you're liking, because every photographer comes with a very different perspective. There is no good, there is no bad in our industry. It's just a perspective difference. Very important to identify what is it that you like as a bride and what is it that resonates with you, the groom and the family. Today as a bride, I may be very modern, I may like pictures which have a certain style of a storytelling, but today maybe the family, it requires a very traditional sort of pictures, a very, very portrait sort of pictures. So first and foremost, understand the style of the photographer and understand what style of photography do you like and does your family want as an end product coming to your house. Because it's always not one photographer who makes a wedding, it is a team of photographers who make a great wedding holistically. So 3 important kinds of photography that a bride needs to make sure that she has is: one is your candids, one is your portraits, and one is your coverage. Without any of these one aspects also, a wedding is always going to be very, very incomplete. So you need to make sure that all of these 3 things are there. The second most important thing I would kind of point down is to the vibe and the connect that you have with your photographer right from the first call. I think the first call creates the vibe, creates the magic, creates the connection. And if you feel you're able to resonate to your photographer, if you think they're able to understand your taste, the kind of music, the kind of family background that you belong to, you cannot, if you're a traditional Marwari family, you cannot hire someone who's extremely modern. When you're a completely NRI modern client who comes with a very quirky style and wants a very, very raw video, you cannot hire a traditional company who does weddings a certain way. So I think the vibe, you need to gel, you need to understand each other. You cannot make a Karan Johar do a Rohit Shetty kind of a movie. Very, very clearly, he will fall flat on his face. The same way, even in our business, movies are treated the same way. So you want to understand, watch at least 5 videos, 7 videos. No one video will ever tell you whether it's a 10 on 10. So at least watch 5 different clientele videos of the same production house and then choose whether you like all 5 of them. If you just like one and if you don't like 4, then there's something wrong, right? So you need to see and dive deeper into seeing their work, dive deeper into having n number of communications calls with them, see how prompt they are, see how they reciprocate to you on your first call, see how quickly they send the work or send the quotation. These are pointers that I would pay a lot of attention to, that my quotation should go on time, my follow-up should be done. So these are ways that you know how the team responds, right? So I think that really plays, the vibe, the connection is very, very important. Third, I would say that it's very important, once you know that, okay, these 2 things are done, the vibe sets in right, the communication is great, you know, we're on the same page of a thought process. We look at a wedding very, very similar perspective. If today a bride is very, very emotional, she will want to look at it from a very emotional perspective. So you want to have you want the opposite person to also understand your emotions, understand what's important to you and your family. The minute you feel that these 2 things are a checklist and a check mark to you, then I think the third most important thing is that write down, research, and understand that what are the kind of things that you want in your wedding. What are the most important aspects? Be as transparent as you can to your photographer and telling them, you know what, I love doing bridal twirls. I want the food layout to be captured, if that's a very important aspect. People spend months and months, like you spend months and months designing a decor. So if that's important to you, you need to communicate that to the photographer, because a lot of times people in their head thinks, oh, I have hired the photographer, now he's going to do the job for me. That may not always be the right way to look at it. You may want to at least tell the person that, listen, these are things which are very important to me and my family, because as photographers, we're just not catering to one person, right? We're catering to a family. We're catering to at least 20 people in that family who's going to sit and watch your wedding pictures and your wedding film. So you want to take a consolidated understanding from your parents. A lot of times people do not ask their parents that, is it okay if we do not have a traditional video? Once the wedding gets over, suddenly I get a call from the mother saying, आपने वो 3 घंटे वाली तो वीडियो भेजी नहीं है. And that's a complete, that it's just a mismatch of expectation, and it's a mismatch that it's not been communicated to me that your mother expected a 3-hour video of your wedding. If you want it, there's nothing that on this earth cannot be done for you. Everybody
so
can
I think here also I'll say that of course that is there, and also I think somewhere I feel the planner's role is also there, because if there are contracts, the planner should also, if there's a planner involved, they should also communicate it to the client, because I'm sure you must be doing a proper contracting, the deliverables. So communicate that. Have you understood that sometimes what happens is the bride, they don't understand the technical details. So I would like to add on that you also hear that that the planners should also facilitate this process and tell them that these are the 5 deliverables or the 6 deliverables the photographers has promised,
Right.
and this is what will be delivered, and
Right.
And this kind of photographer doesn't do this kind of photography, so that expectation setting, what you're talking, is really, really important.
Really important. Like I've had instances where we don't even know that they are expecting a certain kind of a thing, and then when we get to know, it's very disheartening for us to say no to a bride or a groom or a family, because we create a relationship with them, right? And then the minute we tell them a no, we're kind of disappointing them somewhere, and we become the bad calls, right? So you want to set across an expectation, and today's time, Prerna, brides are so well educated, they're so well knowledge, they exactly know what they want, but they know it at a very surface level of what they see on Instagram. Sadly, the part is that they've not dived deeper into it, of knowing that maybe my grandfather may want to watch this, maybe my brother-in-law may want to watch this. So I would love to do a meeting with the family to educate them and tell them that what, it's just not 2 people coming together, but it's 2 families coming together. So you also want the videos to resonate with them, and it's just not your personal property. Having said that, a lot of brides and grooms see stuff on the internet but do not dive deeper into, because today internet compresses the quality of the picture, right? So you're only seeing a certain size, but eventually in my house, if I had to blow up a picture, like a wall size picture, I would need a photographer to at least shoot on a 24 megapixel camera. I would want to shoot on a 4K camera. I may want it to be screened. Like today in our apartment, we have a big screen. Now we want to screen our wedding film on a big screen. Gone are those days when people are only stuck to a 50 and a 60-inch TV, right? People have projectors. So you want to make sure that your videos are captured on a 4K camera. They are 24 megapixel plus. You are shooting with the right equipments, because technical is, I'm not saying today as a bride you may not understand the technical knowledge, but at least make the photographer aware that you care to have a 4K video, you care to have a good quality camera, capturing your wedding. You're not okay with a normal Canon camera, because Canon today supplies cameras right from a 20,000 to a 5 lakh. There's such a huge variety, right? So you want to at least, if not be a top class, but at least a mediocre, benchmark is what
professional
cameras, and you want to make sure that everybody's capturing it like that. Recently, we were editing some other photographers' work, because we also do a lot of editing work for other companies as well. And we had a photographer who has shot on a Canon, on a Sony, and another camera. He shot it with 3 cameras, but they all 3 have different color palettes. So how am I going to match it in one frame? So it's very important that all photographers also use the same camera at that particular wedding. So I think having these basic pointers, if someone can really pay attention to that, and at least make the photographer understand that, listen, I am well aware. I'm not someone who can just take for a ride anymore, right? So I think this would be my 4th most important aspect, where you pay a lot of attention to the technical. You at least ask questions. Asking questions really really make a lot of difference, because the photographer then knows and pulls up his socks knowing that, you know what, this client is well aware. Even that makes a huge difference of setting a benchmark and setting a standard that you are expecting from him. It's always great to take references also. Like, I've had clients at times call me up and say, hey, can you share a client of yours that I may just want to talk to, and I want to know your experience. And I have never shied away from doing that, because if you're good at something, and if you know that you've created relationships here in this industry, there's no harm in someone talking to another client. I had an NRI client was doing a wedding first time. He said, just out of inquisitiveness, I want to ask the client a few questions. I said, go ahead. This is a list of few of my clients, and I have no problem. So I think a referral also makes a huge difference, in picking the right photographer. Like, go ask, because photography is such a thing, right, Prerna? I've had such bad experiences where photographers, start off their companies but cannot sustain. And poor brides and grooms have given their entire data to them, and they don't answer calls. They've not been able to trace the photographer's office. So very important that I feel somewhere where you should know where they belong to, where can you trace your data, because you typically have a data worth lakhs and crores in their hand, right? Like, it's not something that I can call to you for saying, hey, I'm not going to, because um, keeping your data intact is one part of your job, giving them deliveries on time. So I think if someone can at least do a little bit of a background check whether they are a legitimate company, because today's buying a camera, opening an Instagram page is so easy, right? It's one of the most easiest things to do. But catering to them after 3 months is extremely important. I think that's where the magic happens for us. And I think fifth most important point, where everyone shies away, but I think it's very important to get to know which budgets do you really want to play with. Like, I always tell a client that, set out a list. I'm sure that's what you also educate all your clients to, that at least put a ballpark figure for photography after talking to 3 different photographers, knowing that which figures do you want to really work with. Because you can have someone right from a range of 2 lakhs to 30 lakhs. That's the wide range, right? So you want to know that where do you fall. Keep that in mind before hiring. It makes no sense you talking to someone and then realize that, oh, he's way out of my budget. You're just wasting his time and you're wasting your time. So I think if this one criteria can also be taken place at an earlier stage, because you're only going to be disappointing yourself, or you're going to be wasting someone else's time. So, put across a budget and put across a figure in mind that, what, if photography is important to you, then this is what you would do. Like, I've had brides who actually said that, what, I told my dad, I don't want to wear a sabya, I don't want to wear a manish, but I want to have a good that much importance to photography, where they've actually
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We also tell our clients the same. We tell them that, it is very important to have a good photographer over and above anything, because we can create amazing decor, we can get the best artists, everything. But if it's not captured in videography and photography, then there's only so much you'll remember.
Right.
Because what you kind of remember every time is when you look back at some pictures. And if that's not captured well, mostly, you will not remember the wedding the way you should have remembered. And our job is not done well, because, it's the pictures which matter. I absolutely agree that once you've decided the kind of photography you want, what is the vibe of the photographer you want, you have communicated very transparently with your photographer about each and every event. This point I will say that it's very important, because the team required for 100 people event or people for 1,000 event is very different.
Yeah.
So if suppose a photographer is not aware that what's the size of the event, because now, of course, with COVID, it's between 100 to 100 packs, but earlier, it started from it started 100, went up to 1,000, and but now also, like, it starts from 50 and goes up to 200. Even I think in that span, it's very important, because now people they're doing destination weddings with more, and they want every detail to be captured. You know,
True.
if you have those kind of expectations, you should make sure that you kind of tell your photographer, at least we do is we do a meeting commonly so that
Right.
we know the expectation. And we said that, we show, we also take the photographers through every decor slide,
Right.
because these days the brides and grooms absolutely would want every detail in the decor to be captured.
Because honestly, you don't really live it, right? Like today, when you are at the wedding, it gets so hard that today you're so focused on just entering from a backstage. You may enter, you've not landed up going to the food layout. Like, I don't remember as a bride what did my food layout look like. I really have no idea because I've just not seen the food. I've just not seen the outer periphery of the space. So I think it's so important to get these aspects captured because 10 years from now, maybe not today, right? Because today we all are so lost in our lives. We're so busy. But I think 10 years from now is when these photos and videos really, really play a very important role when you may just want to sit down and watch everything.
I absolutely agree because I have seen brides that I'm with them and I am like they're just worried about their entry, but later they would like to see, okay, how did the entry look, and they've done so much detail in the menu planning, but they've actually
They've
just
not
like,
eaten.
or maybe that I make sure that they eat, but like someone like their shadow has just got the food, so they've not stepped out to the
They've not.
layout, or they've not seen how does the table look, because they've just entered and they've sat in one area and everyone's coming to meet them, right? So
Right.
while they've done so much detailing, but they have not actually seen it, and they would like to see later that
Later.
what happened. And if if you guys don't know and you haven't allocated a resource to click those pictures,
Right.
later there it's impossible, the event is gone, it's
Right.
impossible to get those pictures. So I absolutely agree that expectation setting, and also choosing a photographer who has a team like that, right?
Right.
Who can
Right.
capture, like you said, mixed, who can do candid, who can do family photographs, because whatever the bride wants, we always advise the bride that family pictures are really
Very
important. Be-
important.
because while for her candid moments are important, but I know we are also interacting with the parents and the family, so later on the family will like to sit and see them in the picture, right?
Right.
Not only the immediate family, but even the extended family, even the
Right.
extended family should be there. So
Right.
I'm sure you do that. You like, we also last time we did is we sent you the picture of the immediate family.
Right. Always, always,
So
always. I tell people that create a group. Tell your photographers to join into the group. Let the bride, groom, and maybe we can always have 2 points of contact from each of the family, so that we have a direction also, right? You always do not want to bother the bride and the groom. So you want to create a group. You want all the important people to be captured. We also do something called interviewing the family members, right? When we create a story, so it's very important for us to know who are the core members of the family, who are your best friends, who's your cupid in the relationship, because these things help us to understand. And when we're on floor, we're not asking you questions on the spot, because you're so tied up with doing 10 other things that the last question you want a photographer to come and bother you and tell you, ma'am, aapka best friend kaun hai? We want to interview them. So if all of this can be done prior, like just pre-plan your entire itinerary, work on a show flow with your photographer, give them a show flow in prior so that they don't come blank on the event, not knowing what they're supposed to do. A lot of times photographers, I've had wedding planners that I've worked with, trainer, where they don't give us a show flow of what's happening first, what's happening second. And photographers are so blank because they don't know where the bride is entering from. They don't know where the groom is entering from. Suddenly the camera is standing in the center and someone says, "Arey, bride is entering from behind." So all of these smaller things are to be told to us. We may not imagine that there could be a flash mob suddenly. So these things are intimated to us. The team is well equipped to capture the flash mob at that particular point. They know that after dance number 5, there's a dance number 6, which is a flash mob. So even today, a choreographer's briefing to us on the day of the event is so important to tell us what is happening from which corner. A photographer is like a third eye for everything, right? He needs to see everything that's happening. So you do not want to make
absolutely.
sure that you miss out on any of these things.
Absolutely. So, for sure, once you've understood the vibe of the event, you've communicated each and every event, your the show flows, which might come from the wedding planner or the bride and groom themselves. You have everything in place. You've seen that they have a team which who can capture all that you want to, because that team
Right.
size is also very important. Not again too many.
Right.
Just the right team size is very important,
Right.
I feel. And like you said, technical details, you can if they can know, they can at least ask what are the technical details, what kind of cameras they're using.
Right.
And then finally, all that boils down to the budget, because like you mentioned, there people are doing good work at every range.
In
Now,
every range.
what is that you have listed? So at least as wedding planners, we do is we once we understand this at least roughly from them, because we've been working for a long time with them before we get to
Right.
suggesting the photographer. What we do is, once we've understood these four things, like you said, we kind of suggest say three photographers, and they can choose from there. Because
Right.
because we would want to at least say that, well, these are the three photographers we think suit your style, like,
Right.
and
Right.
and then say, okay, now this is what you can choose, because that thing should be the bride and groom, because the style is so personal,
It's
so
so personal.
personal that
Yeah. Today, something that may look great to you may not look the best to me, right? It's just a perspective difference. So you really want to pay a lot of attention. You know, a lot of people don't even read contracts in detail. Like we've written, it takes a 90 days or a 45 days to deliver. And then suddenly they realize, oh, when are you going to give us the photos and videos? You know, so we actually do a meeting with clients and we run by each pointer with them saying that, you know what, X, Y, Z, these are the timelines, these are the things that we're going to deliver, because they're so lost and they're so into so many things, right? So also as photographers, I think it's also our duty to educate them and tell them and set and be honest, right? You always want to, like, you don't want to overcome it and then under deliver to them, right? You always want to like set a benchmark which is a doable. So never, like, I've had people who say, oh, we'll give deliveries in 30 and 60 days. Let's be honest, it is really a challenge. So just be honest to them so that they have it set in their mind. You know, that much transparency, even from photographers, I think is very, very important.
I absolutely agree, because timely delivery, I think, is one of the top
Right.
priorities that now is setting in, because the elders start talking about it, right? Your parents, your family members start asking for the pictures, that
Right.
okay, we want to see this picture, while the bride and groom understand. But
Right.
this is something that the elders start asking, and then I think it's sometimes really difficult to sustain the pressure.
Right. Right.
So we generally do also suggest that, if that is the case in the family, then maybe go in for a same day edit. That
Right.
at least they have
They have
something.
they have they have something to look forward to.
Yes, yes. So also, while choosing the photographer, that can one more we can also look
If
at
they
that,
can,
what
if they're equipped to do a same day edit, and trust me,
the
same
edit.
day edit is our magic. Like, I love doing same day edits. It's like a winning point immediately with the family. Like, you become
Family.
family for them immediately, because they've seen the results in less than 24 hours, and it's beautiful.
It is 100%. I also am a personal fan of it,
Yeah.
and only is sometimes, you can't screen it, so then
Right, but at
then
least they
you
have it for
have
themselves,
it for
right? At
themselves.
the end
Yeah,
of the day, it
yeah,
can just be a product for themselves.
yeah. Yeah, perfect. So I think it was really nice, all the points you put together in the checklist. I'm sure everyone in the audience has taken back these points. And next time, for their weddings or their family weddings, whenever they're choosing a photographer, they can just check these points and
Hop into
say,
this live and just make a checklist whether it's all done.
it's all done. Yes, yes. Tick all marks and say that, oh, it's done, it's done, it's done. And we've hired Israni Photography for doing that.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Prerna. It's a pleasure talking to you. I've had fun. I think I've had more fun chatting with you over the last, associating with the team in the last 1 week over this live. So I'm so grateful that you thought of me and always there.
And I think same here, it's like, we met in events and all that, and we met during work, but when you actually get to speaking with each other off work, I think that's where it is so important. We have Rituraji with us
Yes,
here, who's
he's always there
always.
supporting. I'm seeing him on a live after really long, but he's always one of the strongest supporting factor.
Yes, and everyone here. I don't know if there are any questions.
No,
If
we
anyone
haven't
would like to
really
ask
had
him.
questions. We haven't really.
Yes. No, I'm asking if anyone has any questions. And Ritaj is saying you are my rock stars. I think we both absolutely adore you, Rituraji, and
For the work that
it's
he does.
always
And
yeah.
honestly, his energy is so infectious, right?
Yes,
You would just
absolutely.
want to be with him.
I always want that at this age I also have the same energy.
Right, right.
Yeah, so great. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
everyone, for being here. And great. Thank you, Megha, again, for taking our time and putting all the information and all your knowledge here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.